Hello everyone, Goblin Squire here again, and today I've got a short video for you on washing your miniatures. Now when I first started painting, I saw quite a lot about washing your miniatures, but I didn't see a great deal about why it was important. So I thought I would have that as a starting point for you today. And really the main issue with washing your miniatures is about the casting process. Now, miniatures like this one, you can see here, this is actually comes in multiple parts, but it uses a mould. And we've already talked about the mould lines, which you get as part of that. But another factor in that process is the use of a release agent. So what the companies do is they inject the plastic or the metal or whatever it might be into the mould. And that gives the miniature its shape. But at the end of that process, they obviously need to get the miniature out of the mould. And to do that, they use a chemical known as a release agent. So essentially what that does is stops the edge of the miniature adhering to the mould and getting stuck in place. Now, obviously, if you leave that on, any substance which is designed to stop things adhering is going to make it very difficult for your paint to adhere. So it is very important that we get rid of any of that. Sometimes you can see particularly bad areas because it does leave a little bit more of a shine, I find. But particularly with Reaper miniatures, it's very important that you give them a good wash before you do anything else. Anything that comes out of a mould, you'll want to do this with. As far as I'm concerned, wash all your miniatures would be my suggestion. It's not going to do them any harm. If there's a miniature which comes to harm from washing, then something has gone seriously awry. And it really just allows the paint to adhere better to it. The other reason, I think, once you've removed the mould lines, is you do sometimes get just very fine filaments, little elements of plastic which are stuck to the miniature. And just giving them a scrub can get rid of them as well. So it's generally a good process all round. In terms of the practicalities of it, it's so simple. Hot water and dish soap is probably your best method. You could use hand soap actually. I mean, the formulation of those things is to really emulsify the grease which is on hands or dishes or whatever it might be, but that's a great way of picking up the release agent which is on miniatures. So hot water and soap, no issues. It doesn't have to be boiling water, anything like that. Just imagine you were washing your hands, something like that. In terms of brushes, there are two different brushes which I tend to use. Really nothing expensive. I've got this old, well, I say an old paintbrush. I hadn't used it for painting, I don't think, but it's probably, I imagine, cost me about £1 from a DIY shop. Nothing fancy at all. And this is just a toothbrush again. I think I probably bought this from the pound shop as well. So very, very simple. The reason I use these is simply because when you're cleaning a miniature like this or any of the others that you might be doing, the two real challenges are you want something with a stiff bristle. That really allows you to get in and start scrubbing at some of those areas, but also something with a long bristle and with slightly less stiffness to the bristles means that you can get into some of those really difficult areas. This toothbrush is great for a lot of things, but the actual bristles have a hard time reaching some of those really interior areas. So this brush does a great job of that. So spend a couple of pounds, whatever your local currency might be, dollars, euros, getting yourself a couple of brushes that you'll use for this. It's definitely worthwhile. If you, particularly with the Reaper miniatures, but with some of the others like the Scotia Grendel plastics, if you don't do this, you end up with the paint pooling in different places, pulling away. The actual release agent has a hydrophobic effect, so the water recedes from it, and you end up with it pooling. But with that, you can get the really great finish on your miniatures that you're looking for. The other tip I would give you is don't do them one at a time, because that can take a long time. Fill up a basin, stick some soap in there, throw in a whole batch of these miniatures, scrub them one at a time, give them a quick rinse off, leave them to dry, and you're good to go. That way you can spend 5 or 10 minutes and you've got a whole load of miniatures ready to paint. So that's a nice easy step. It's not the most exciting bit to do, but it gets your miniatures ready. Next up, I'll talk about gluing your miniatures together. There are a few different glues which are useful for that, and it's good to get the right one for the right miniature. But in the meantime, happy painting.